Hi, y'all, and welcome to day 39. Today, we're going to be taking a look at figurative language using the short story La Bamba by Gary Soto. Make sure that you have your packets with you as we go. So, we have four things to accomplish today. The first thing we're going to be doing is doing a short review of figurative language. Then, we're going to look at an example of simile. Then we're going to look at an example of personification. And fourth, we're going to look at our daily task. So, what is figurative language? Figurative language is phrasing that goes beyond the literal meaning of words to get a message or point across. That word phrasing is important. Phrasing is the way the author chose to write the words. Authors are very picky about the words that they choose and precise because they want us to get certain meanings. And figurative language is definitely an example of how authors choose certain words so that we have a deeper meaning or understanding of the text. Literal meaning means the original or basic meaning, means what's actually happening. So figurative language is when an author chooses words that goes beyond what's actually happening. We can't take the words for what they say. Why do authors do that? They do that because they want to get a certain message or point across. They want us to have a deeper understanding of the text. That's why they use figurative language. So in our input, we have this figurative language anchor chart. We're going to focus our attention today on simile and personification. So let's take a closer look at those two examples of figurative language. A simile uses the words like or as to compare two unlike things. For example, Joe is as busy as a bee. Joe is not a bee, so these are two unlike things. So why would the author compare them? The author compares them because he or she wants us to have a deeper understanding of what Joe is like as a person. In my head, I can imagine Joe buzzing around like a bee going from task to task. Personification is a little bit different. Personification is when an author gives animals or objects human characteristics. For example, the stars danced in the night. I can close my eyes and imagine stars twinkling so much that they look like they're dancing. This is the kind of night that I love, and this example of personification would definitely create that image in my head, which is the purpose of it. So I can imagine what it's like. So now let's apply what we just talked about with simile and metaphor to La Bamba. The first excerpt that we're going to look at is on page 81. Why did I raise my hand? He asked himself, but in his heart he knew the answer. He yearned for the limelight. He wanted applause as loud as a thunderstorm, and to hear friends say, man, that was bad. So, where is the example of simile in that excerpt? Try to find it. You were right if you said he wanted applause as loud as a thunderstorm. So, how is that an example of a simile? The author is comparing the sound of applause to the sound of a thunderstorm. Remember, a simile is when you compare two unlike things using the words like or as. So he compared applause to a thunderstorm using the word as. Why did he do that? The author wanted us, the reader, to realize how badly Gilbert wants the audience to love him. Gilbert wants the attention badly. Just doesn't want people to clap for him. He wants applause as loud as a thunderstorm. Now let's take a look at an example of personification. So this excerpt is from page 86. The cafeteria roared with applause. Manuel was nervous but loved the noisy crowd. What's the example of personification? You were right if it's that word roared. The cafeteria roared with applause. Why is it personification? The author says the audience in the cafeteria roared. When I think of roared, I think of a lion. Remember that personification is when the author gives animal or human-like characteristics to something. So in this case, the author is giving the cafeteria animal-like characteristics, saying they roared with applause. Why did the author do that? The author did that so that we can imagine in our head how loud the applause was in the cafeteria. So now we need to take a look at our daily task. Directions. Reread La Bamba along with me on YouTube. Annotate the text as you read. Answer the following question about figurative language. Reread the following sentence from the story. Some people were moving to the beat, but most were just watching him like they would a monkey at the zoo. What type of figurative language was used? What does this comparison indicate about manual? Use at least two pieces of text evidence in your response. So when I say indicate about manual, it means, what does the comparison in the piece of figurative language tell us about who he is as a person? So make sure that you A, identify the type of figurative language, and then B, explain what it teaches us about Manuel as a person. Thank you. Have a good day.